of money. School of money. School of money. School of money. Where you learn how to make your money. Where you learn how to multiply. Where you learn how to manage your money.
Welcome to the School of Money with Olumide Emmanuel.
Hello out there, you're welcome to the School of Money. I'm Olumide Emmanuel. This broadcast is aimed at teaching you wealth creation principles, revealing to you the pathway that leads to wealth and connecting you with money-making opportunity. It is our desire that through this broadcast, you will know how to make, manage, and multiply your money. Like I've always said, everything that will be shared on this broadcast is taken from this masterpiece, The School of Money. So if you don't have a copy of this book, you need to get a copy. And if you already have a copy and you have not read it, wow, you're missing a lot. You need to make sure you read The School of Money book. The book is a hardcover book. It's got a CD and a DVD in there, and it's about 700 pages. It is a school in print. And as you continually go through this reference book, it will help you on your journey of wealth creation. Well, today we're starting a new series. We're going to be looking at developing a savings culture. And we're going to be doing that in the next 2 or 3 weeks, developing a savings culture. In 1998, I had a very, very wonderful experience that turned things around in my life. It was in the middle of the year. We're expecting our very first child, and my wife then was on her way out to work early in the morning. And as she was about to get out of the door, she almost tripped and fell. And I rushed out to try to help her out, and she was okay, thankfully, so she left for work. But that just set me into thinking, and I began to ask myself, my first child is about to come into the world, and now my wife almost tripped and fell. What if she had tripped and fallen? What if she had had a complication and she had needed money? What if we had needed to rush her to the hospital for an emergency to save her life and save the life of my first child? Would I have been able to get the money to do what needs to be done? And I suddenly realized that at that point in my life, I didn't have any savings. I suddenly realized that I did not just not have savings, but even if I was to look for people to help me to raise money, I didn't really have too many people around me that could have helped me to raise money. And then I began to think of the importance of taking savings serious. You see, when we talk about developing a savings culture, you need to understand that a savings culture is not something that is natural to everyone. It's not everyone that just wakes up and thinks of saving. No, it's not something that is natural to everyone. So it means that it is something that you have to consciously and deliberately cultivate. So for you to come into that place in your life where savings will become a culture, where savings will become a part of the habit of your life, you have to develop it. And that development, it's your responsibility. You have to consciously develop it. You have to deliberately make up your mind that savings will be a part of your life. You need to understand that if you don't save, you are not safe. In one of the new rules of money I've shared with you on this broadcast before, I made it to understand that if you prepare for bad times, you will always have good times. If you take time out to prepare for eventualities, when they finally come, or if they finally come, you will be able to overcome them. I know you must have heard over and over again, save for the rainy day, but many people probably just think it's a slogan. And then most people don't do anything they need to do to make sure that they prepare for that rainy day. Now, we have taught for many years, especially if you listen to people in the world of wealth creation and economic empowerment, you will always hear people tell you that you need to have between 6 to 8 months of your living expenses saved up in cash. When you read the book, The School of Money, you see a lot of things I said about savings. I personally believe that you should have savings. I personally believe that at least 10% of your income should be saved every time you make an income. So let me share more on that. Now, number one, I believe very strongly in what I've taught over the years. I call it the 70-30 principle. And now in the 70-30 principle, I'm sharing and helping people to understand that for every money that comes into your life, you only have responsibility to spend and utilize just 70% of that money to be able to take care of yourself. So it simply means that you should not live beyond 70% of your income. So what I tell people is that 30% of every money that comes into your hand does not belong to you. 10% is what you give. You must make sure that at least 10% of the resources that come into your hand is given. You want to call it charity, you want to call it tithe, you want to call it sadak, you want to call it whatever name. It doesn't really matter. Just make sure that you are giving back. Because the world that we live in is like a cycle. Giving is living. As an individual, when you breathe in oxygen. But when you breathe out carbon dioxide. And now the plants all around you, the carbon dioxide that is your own waste product is what they receive to continue to flourish. And then they release oxygen into the atmosphere for you to have. So what you give as a waste product is somebody else's sustenance. What they give as a waste product is your sustenance. The next thing I want to go deeper in is the aspect of saving for at least 6 to 8 months of your living expenses. Now, you see, you need to understand that if you spend time saving at least 10% of your income, I actually advise that you do 20 or 25. But if you just do 10% of your income, you'll be having enough cash available for emergency. But you need to do everything you can to make sure that every money you need to live the kind of life you presently live, you have at least 6 to 8 months of that money available in cash. What do I mean by that? If, for instance, you need $1,300 to survive every month, it simply means you need $1,300 times 6 or $1,300 times 8 available in cash in an account somewhere. You know why? What if you lose your job? What that does is that if for any reason you lose your job, if for any reason you get into hard times, you can always continue to survive 6 to 8 months after you've lost your job, the same level of life while you're looking for another job or while you're trying to sort yourself out. Now, let's start by looking at why you need to save. I want to start with that. So let me share with you now 10 reasons why you need to save, and then I think we'll be able to end this first session with that. Number one, why do you need to save? You need to save because it is a wise thing to do. You need to save because it is a wise thing to do. I've seen people die. I mean, die. Just because they did not have $80 to pay for their hospital bill. I'm telling you, yeah. You may be listening to me and you're like, hello, how can people not have $80? Listen, I've seen people impregnate their wife, and 9 months later, even though they have 9 months notice, they are supposed to be delivering a baby, and they don't have $65 to pay for the hospital bill of delivery. Yes. And they are 9 months notice. So you're asking yourself, how can somebody spend 9 months and they don't have ordinary $65? That's why you need to save. Because it's not everybody that has the wisdom of savings. So it is the wisest thing to do. If you don't save regularly, that means that you are not operating in wisdom. So why do you need to save? You need to save because it is the wise thing to do. If you are listening to me right now, you don't have any savings, you are not safe. If you are not saving money, it simply means that you are not creating the future that you desire. You can picture the future, you can desire the future, but do you know that there is nothing called tomorrow? Do you know that there is nothing called the future? Yes, today is the tomorrow you spoke about yesterday. The future never comes. There is really nothing called the future. What you call the future in your past is now called your today. Now, so the future you are talking about can only become a reality if you create that future. So creating the future is all about applying the wisdom of savings. So the first reason why you need to save is because it is the wisest thing to do.